Okay, Paul and then Patricia.
Paul Field, Volcano, Big Island.
Oh, what happened to
Nevada, from Oahu, Honolulu Sunset.
Oh, okay. Chuck Rhodes and then Jay.
Hi, Chuck Rhodes, Kona Sunrise.
Jay.
Jay Satinstein, Kihewailea, Maui, no Kauai.
Thanks. Joe, Sandy. Joe and then Sandy.
Joe and Rhonda Park from Rotary Club Lahaina on Maui.
Aloha, everybody. Sandy with the Rotary Club of Kaneohe on the island of Oahu.
Okay, L's phone. L.
Jane.
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 Jane Bush.
Oh,
Jane Bush,
okay.
Maui.
Okay. Karen and then Wendy.
Karen Wilson, Konamauka Rotary Club, Big Island.
Hi, Wendy Hornack, Rotary Club of Upcountry Maui.
Okay, Gwen, you're on a different Zoom, huh?
I'm sitting next to him, so I'm afraid we're getting feedback. But Gwen Carl, Rotary Club of Metropolitan Honolulu.
Oh.
Someone's got an echo going on.
Yep, because they got two Zooms going on, the Picaros. Okay, let's see. I lost somebody. Okay, Dave and then Gail.
Gail Takaki with the Rotary Club of Hilo.
Dave Mostrin.
Dave Mosdrin, co-president with the Rotary Club of Honolulu Sunrise.
Okay, Steve Dyer.
Hey, how's it, Steve Dyer, Pearl Harbor?
Okay. Who did we miss? Karen, Wendy. Oh, Tom Riley.
Hi, Tom Riley from Ala Moana Club in Honolulu.
Okay, Lonnie and then Dylan.
Lonnie Bergstrom from Kapolei Sunset.
Dylan Bodie, Rotary Club of Lahaina Sunset, Maui.
June and then Joy.
Oh, June Kapaoka, Mililani Sunrise Rotary.
Joy Bromst from Honolulu Bay, a Rotary.
Hi. Josh and then Brian.
Hi, I'm Joshua Laguana from the Rotary Club of Ticum Pearl Harbor on Oahu.
Hi, Brian Dunkel. I'm the Youth Services Chair from the Rotary Club of Honolulu on Oahu.
Ted, then Mary.
Ted Bagel, Kauai Assistant Governor, Rotary Club of Poipu Beach.
Thank you. Mary?
Mary Alberts, Rotary Club of RYLA from Maui.
Okay, so that was Mary from Maui, Kimberly, and then Jerry.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Rotary Club of Hawaii Kai.
You're muted, Naomi.
Naomi, you're still muted.
Okay, did I get everybody? The last phone number was Randy Hart, and I think that was it. Anybody we missed? No? Okay, Tim Hansen is our district RYLA chair, And so we thought we'd get everybody together and talk about RYLA and youth services. Hey, before Tim starts, I wanted to ask you to take a look at that spreadsheet that I sent you. Those are the listing of all of the Interact and Rotaract clubs that we have registered. If you see that your club is active, but then the dates are old, please update the name of the advisor and update the date. If you see that it's suspended, you can update it and it'll be okay. But if you see that it's terminated, we need to start the process again with paperwork. Okay, if you see that one is in your name, but it's not your club's Interactive Rotaract, please let us know so we can take care of that and update that spreadsheet. Okay, I also sent you the instructions on how to update the Interact Rotaract listing on Rotary International. So you need to log in and then follow the instructions. If anytime you need help, please call me and I'll help you with that. But we want to try and update that list so that it is current. Okay? Okay, Tim, take it away.
All right. Well, aloha, good evening, afternoon, everyone. I'm Tim Hansen from the Rotary Club of Hilo Bay here on the Big Island. And I guess I want to thank Naomi for encouraging / forcing me to come to help RYLA efforts statewide. And I've been really excited about RYLA, and I want to give a big shout out to Gail here on the Big Island, who brought me into RYLA 3-4 years ago. And it's been a wonderful, great experience. I love teaching and I love inspiring youth and seeing those light bulbs come on about their future and their place in making the future a reality. And so it's exciting to come together with all of you to explore and to think and to talk about what RYLA might look like in Hawaii. Anyone concerned about what RYLA upcoming this year might look like?
Yes.
Yeah. So there certainly are lots and lots of questions in regards to, can RYLA happen, or a commitment that RYLA will happen, but it may not look like RYLA in the past has happened. We're just in a very strange time, as you very well know. But I think our RYLA here on Big Island has been very successful, and I'm sure everybody feels that same way in regards to the RYLAs that you're putting on. This last year we had 60 people at our RYLA weekend, and it was just another inspiring, hopeful, encouraging kind of weekend time together. And here on the Big Island, we are still needing to regroup and again to think about what things might look like. It usually happens the end of February, beginning of March, that sort of time frame. And at this point, we're really in a bit of a standstill. And so if I understand Naomi's hope and wish for us in regards to coming together is to share and encourage and to talk about maybe what we have each been doing in our respective RYLA arenas. I should say that RYLA is really one of the things that inspired me to be part of Rotary, and it certainly is what keeps me involved and connected. And so it really wasn't until conversation just a little bit ago that I realized there'd be quite so many people, which is wonderful. I mean, what a great surprise. I thought there might be like one person from each of the RYLAs in the 4 different island areas. But instead we have over 40 people on this Zoom platform right now, which I think speaks to all of your dedication to youth and to our youth leadership efforts. So with that, I mean, I don't know if there is per se a designated person from each of the areas or each of the island areas. But I do want to convene, a group, maybe smaller, that might feel a little more manageable in a way. But it would be interesting to hear maybe from each of the islands in regards to what has been your RYLA structure. How does the leadership and the planning, coordination happen? for your RYLA efforts. And maybe if we can start at our northernmost island, Kauai, and maybe hear from Ray and or maybe from Ted and anybody else that's joining us from Kauai. Can you just give us a little bit of insight in regards to your structure and excitement that you have about RYLA, and then any concerns?
Okay, I see Ted is on visual mute also. We have 5 clubs on Kauai, and basically the West Kauai Club, the Rotary Club of West Kauai, has been taking the lead of this. The reason why West Kauai is in the lead for this is that at RYLA, the RYLA camp is held up at Kokei, up in the hills. It's a nice camp at that conservation camp in we've been doing it for the past at least 5 years. And the structure is that each club contributes, but the lead is taken by West Kauai. We split the RYLA camp duties, you know, according to bookkeeping, to funds and invoicing and manpower. So we all contribute, and we have planned to rotate the lead position to other clubs on the island. So I think after this year, West Kauai will take a lesser role, but the lead will be another club, and then we'll be rotating as we go along. We have been doing this for a while, and the structure had kind of changed over the years of how the camp is run. Mainly the staffing is actually by the training, and the core information comes from Leadership Kauai, which actually is hired, and we actually take care of them also. And we have, you know, a basic template of what they follow. And we have the schools go out and basically filter in these kids that come to the RYLA camp on an annual basis. Now, we've been having some challenges because of our timing. We used to have it in the fall, and we encountered some scheduling problems because we had like football and volleyball. Basically, when we were trying to hold that camp, we came into the KIF football season where they have the championship games. So we moved it to the springtime. And we all know what happened this past spring. Everything just got sidetracked. So basically, unless Ted could speak of the structure of how Leadership Kauai actually fits into this particular RYLA scheme on Kauai. Is Ted there?
Yeah, right. Leadership Kauai is a nonprofit organization on our island that provides leadership development training in a core program to adults. That it's a 10-month intensive training that adults spend 1 day a month in a historical, cultural context of leadership that's really unique to our island and our Hawaiian culture. And they also provide leadership development training to high school students through various programs. And so the executive director and her assistant have been very instrumental and wonderful partners with Rotary to do a lot of the programming content for us for the RYLA program.
Ray, could you speak a little bit more in regards to the recruitment of students at the high schools? How does that take place, and how are the Rotarians involved?
Okay, each school has a youth coordinator that, I'm sorry, it's assigned by Rotary. A Rotary club kind of adopts a school, and basically it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because this same liaison or would be looking at doing the Interact clubs also in Rotaract. So when it comes time, a lot of the information is passed on directly to the counselors at each school and certain teachers, and who are available to not necessarily come, but they participate in recruitment. So we actually have a kind of like a blast of information that goes out, and talking to a lot of the counselors to see if there are any interested parties to come in. And usually we have a limit of 40 beds that we could house students, and that's our maximum. Several years ago, we had that maximum, but again, we hit challenges, and we've had camps as low as 20. So basically, it's a challenge every year. And like anything else, you have your good years and you have your lean years, where you have recruitment is spot on sometimes, and sometimes when there's a change in leadership at the Interact clubs and Rotaract, basically you have to work harder from the Rotarian standpoint.
Good. Are there particular efforts that you've made that you think are successful and helpful that you'd like to share with the other islands?
The thing that works best, I guess because we're more rurally inclined here, is the face-to-face contact. You can send an email, you can send a text, but nothing is better than having a face-to-face contact with a teacher or a counselor. And actually, I have actually availed myself because I have access to the schools. I go in and I speak at the schools to talk up the RYLA camp. And, even though it's a short weekend trip, they have experiences, and we have some kids that went the year before. That's usually our best representatives and sounding boards that helps recruit for the next year.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, there's you can never overestimate the power of the face-to-face, and then
Yes.
power of the youth that have been through it, still having that energy from their experience to share. Yeah. Hey, thank you. If we could move on to Oahu, do you guys do one club, or I'm sorry, one RYLA, or are there two different RYLAs that take place?
No, we do one RYLA a year.
Okay, so I know there's several of you on from Oahu. Who would like to kind of brief us and give us some history?
Yeah, I can do it. I was the chair and half a chair for 2 years.
Great,
The way we structure it is we have 1 year as you being the chair, the second year with somebody that's going to take over in the next couple of years to shadow you. And so we just keep rotating so you have the knowledge and transparency when you swap leadership. But we do have a core group. The last 2 years we had a core group of dedicated Rotarians. We did a lot of planning, a lot of meetings, 2 or 3 on site so we could get familiar with the site and meet the site people. And then we do all the instruction is done by Rotarians or organizations that contribute their time for nothing because of cost. And that's one of the major things of trying to get students to participate. First of all, it's the amount that the campsite can hold. And the other one is cost per student. A lot of clubs have a hard time coming up with the funds to support that, but we've had fairly good luck with that. So if anybody else would like to say, maybe Rick or Josh would like to add to that.
Hi, this is Josh. I was the co-chair with Jeff last year, and I'm co-chairing it this year with Rick. We tried to last year change in how we promoted getting the funds from the different Oahu clubs. It was just asking each club how many students that they would want to sponsor, so that we can get those funds earlier. But we did notice that a lot of clubs wanted to be able to nominate their own people, and all those leftover applications just went to a club that didn't. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I can see if they'll eat.
Sorry.
Sorry about that, Josh. I'm not sure who was taking a call or something, but.
No. So
go ahead.
So what we ended up doing, the people that didn't have any nominations, it went to the pot of people, and people that clubs that didn't select or nominate someone, they just had the funds there. What I heard in the past was collecting the money was always a challenge, especially from multiple clubs. And we were picking up students really late in the game. By the day that they would arrive, we had some miscommunication as to who was supposed to attend and who wasn't. But we're trying to get those things fixed. Rick, did you want to add anything?
I think you guys kind of covered it. We have a really good site, though. I'm really happy with Camp Homolani. One of the issues, though, is the lighting is kind of hard for our PowerPoints. I mean, it's something, and we had their sound system went out right as we started, so that was a real challenge last year. So a couple little bloopers to work on. I don't think we're going to be doing that this year, though. We're probably going to be Zooming, yeah. Getting kids was a real challenge, I have to say. So we had connections. One thing that we did that's different this year, although it was right after the camp, is I had Generations run an article on the camp, which is kind of cool, but that's going to be a year late already at this point. So getting the information out there, and I'm just kind of surprised at maybe some of the apathy, just not getting the kids the way I would think. I mean, they're not paying anything. It's a great camp. It's a great opportunity. We pull numbers together. We do okay on Oahu, but like Josh just said, I mean, it's kind of a scramble at the end. And I think we left money on the table. We had donations that we could have used. So getting more kids, I think, would be better. Although this year, with social distancing, we probably got to go the other direction if we even did the camp. So I'll let it go at that.
What was the size of your camp in the past?
The first year was 52 students. Last year, I think it was 48 students.
Yeah.
But we can reach up to, I think, 100, I think.
Yeah.
Is that right, Jeff?
Yes, we could reach up to 100, but we never got that.
Okay.
Yeah, we thought we could do more. We started earlier last year. We're starting earlier. Well, we could start earlier this year, but I'm not sure the starting earlier is what it is. It's getting the commitments.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're talking about scheduling in the fall. You have football, you have sports, you have the holidays, you got Thanksgiving, Christmas. So getting started early is very important, and getting the word out there is very important, so we can get the students in a lot sooner.
Yeah. So one of the things that we discussed at the end is starting earlier by going and visiting the different schools, just getting the Rotary name out there to promote not only RYLA, but to promote Rotaract and HRYF, anything that involves, Interact and Rotaract, anything to get the Rotary name and brand out there. One of the things that we did on Oahu was created a video that highlighted interviews from kids from this year, and we posted it on YouTube. It didn't get much traction, but once we, like what Ray said, when he went to go and visit all the different schools, it may be something that we want to do, have a representative from the RYLA group here and go to each school.
And one last thing for me is we did have a couple of RYLA members support us with the students, so it worked out pretty good.
If I could say something before you go to any schools, if there is already an Interact club there attached to a Rotary club, might be good to go through that Rotary club first, because they are in contact with the Interact club.
Right.
And we did have quite a few Interacts, and that we put them in positions of leadership for that reason.
Yeah, and we also included someone from Rotaract UH that was a team lead, and then I believe we also had a Rotaractor from HPU be one of our speakers.
Yes, yes. And
Ernesto joined me in the speaking, and that was very good.
Yeah.
Also, if we had some students that had actually attended, if we could have them be with us when we speak to the school, I think that would be pretty powerful too. It's a connection in the school that the kids can connect with.
Yeah, and this year we had a student from RYLA attend our group.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah. They've been good camps. It would just be nice to get the kids committed earlier.
Yeah.
And less of a scramble at the end, and get the numbers to what we really need them to be, and use the money that's been donated.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I wanted to do was have activities lead up to RYLA, so that on day one, when the students get to the camp, they already know each other. So it's going to be a lot easier to start building those relationships.
And Josh, what would those activities look like when you say would it be online sort of thing, or actually bringing the kids together or gathering them at the school, because they're from all over the place, right?
Yeah, so since it'll be from all over Oahu, we would love for the parents and the students to come together so that parents can get an understanding of what's going to be happening over the weekend. The kids are going to start to get to know each other, probably, well, before COVID, at like some type of place where we can just do an orientation of what RYLA is. Maybe it could be at a beach park and do a barbecue, just kind of a meet and greet. But those are things that we're going to have to really think about with social distancing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think having Zoom and other platforms might also create a great way for the kids to maybe begin to connect beforehand.
Yeah,
that's where I thought you were probably going with it, but you were talking about maybe an orientation actually in person. I mean,
yeah. So before we had RYLA this year, we did do an orientation of all the volunteers as well as parents. People did show up. Not many people actually. I don't even think anyone signed up online, just because virtual meetings were kind of a new thing. I think with people understanding distance learning and Zoom meetings, it might be easier for us to have some type of online chat or group, or even creating like a Facebook group that people can check in on.
Yeah. Great. Just one question about the leadership, your model where you have a chair and a co-chair. Do you intentionally make those folks from different clubs? I mean, is the leadership rotating amongst the different clubs, or is there kind of a concentration of leadership interest in particular clubs?
Yeah, the core group are from different clubs, and the chairs are from different clubs. It's not one specific club that sponsors RYLA. It's a hooey of clubs.
Okay.
It's a nice mix of clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good mix.
Excellent. All right. Anybody else want to add anything about Oahu before we move to Maui?
I could say something. One of the problems we had was scheduling when it would be, and conflicts with different schools, because all the schools have different activities. It was like crazy, and we had many people that couldn't come because of that. I don't know what the solution is, but it's a gigantic problem, I think.
Have you guys settled on a particular month or season or that worked best?
Yeah, we planned for February, mid-February and February, I believe, but we don't know with the COVID how we're going to do that this year. And Josh maybe has some ideas on that.
Right. So February.
Not Valentine's Day like last time, and not Super Bowl Sunday like the time before.
No. and that's just it. You know, the whole year, you also have something going on at the schools. You know, and that's the hard part, is the scheduling.
Yeah, these kids, their lives are very busy. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys, and congratulations for all of those efforts for sure. Let's see what we can hear and learn from our friends on Maui.
Hi, this is Mary Albitz. I'm the chairperson of RYLA here on Maui.
All right.
I took it over a couple years ago after the previous chairs stepped down, and which was a huge learning curve for me. I had headed it up back in California, but it's completely different here. And I had never actually been to the whole RYLA camp here. So yeah, So, but what we've done is we've taken all the top kids from camp, and then we invite them back to be facilitators. And what we've done is we've worked with them before camp so that they can actually lead the camp. And this past year, they did phenomenal job. I mean, they had to pivot and you know, figure out, oh, hey, we don't have this supply. How are we going to make this work? And that one time, I almost want to keep that in on purpose to see what they do each year. Let's see. We also had Dylan Bodie, who's on the call, who's did RYLA about 10 years ago, and he was a phenomenal speaker at graduation. So that he really rocked it, and I don't want him to ever not be there now. We also have had our struggles with recruiting. My first year, a week before camp, we only had 10 registered. And so we have an orientation with the facilitators in training the week before. And so most of that training was spent them getting on the phone, getting their friends to register and sign up. So that was chaos. And it was all by paper, and I had to translate all the documents into a spreadsheet. So this past year we did a Google form on our website, and so then it automatically populated a spreadsheet, which was phenomenally easier. It was wonderful. We had 45 signed up. We lost 5 in the last week, and then 5 didn't show up. So we ended up with only 35. There ended up being no students from Lahaina area. I had tried to reach out to a couple different people, and for some reason I did not connect with the right people, and so I was not able to get students from that side. I had one over from that side, and he ended up having a family emergency like the day before and couldn't go. So I have since found 2 people who will help me recruit from Lahaina side. So thank goodness. We have a really great counselor over on Lanai, so he's been sending kids each year. Yeah, I can't, I don't know, I haven't been able to get anybody from Lahaina High School to respond to me. So, and I'm up country and I work in Kihei, so, and on my own business, I just don't have the time or the bandwidth to get over there myself. So anyways, so like I said, I got somebody recruited to help me over there for next year. I am working on expanding my team of leadership to handle different parts so that I'm not handling everything. I had a co-chair the first year, but then last year, he and his wife decided to get pregnant, so they were not able to be there and help at the end. So go figure. Anyways, so we send out invoices based on the size of the club to all the clubs. We just appreciate whatever we get back from them. I don't make it mandatory. We also, the first year, because I knew clubs didn't want to spend so much money on RYLA, we got the kids to do a bunch of fundraisers. We did a car wash, we did a flatbread pizza fundraiser at the induction. We had a little silent auction. That money went to RYLA. And there was a couple other donations. So the kids helped raise it. We can't do fundraiser right now, of course, because of COVID. So we're glad that we have a decent carryover. So whatever is left over one year, we carried over to the following year. So the invoices this year went down quite a bit.
I see that Ted has posted a link to Kauai's RYLA camp so we can learn more from them. Gary and Gwen had a question for you, Mary. Where is the Maui RYLA camp housed? Where is it?
Yeah, it's held at Camp KNI. And people used to complain about the cost of transportation out there, but I've gotten the transportation down to about $800. So that shouldn't bother anybody anymore.
Yeah. And so when you say you invoice the clubs based on their club size, so it's not like a per student kind of invoice.
I do price it out as per student at about $250 per student, I think. is what I think is what I did.
Okay.
And then I just have it, like the medium clubs, I just do the same number of students, right, for all the medium clubs and the others.
Okay. And how are the clubs involved with the recruitment effort?
I don't know, I really have struggled with that.
Okay.
I've tried to reach out to the presidents. I only have contacts of a few. Not all the clubs have youth services chairs.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, I only have the president contact information, and if I don't get anything back from them, then it stops there. Right.
Okay.
But the other ones that are involved, they have helped. So.
Okay. So you are a major doer. You are jumping in there and getting a lot of this done. And you talked a little bit about wanting to develop the leadership team a little bit more. What might that look like?
I don't know, just making sure I have Rotarians for the recruitment part of it. I've got pretty much everything else parceled out. And then as far as leadership, it's just to keep training the kids and to keep encouraging them to actually lead it. I want them to plan it and get more involved in the planning of it also.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really their camp.
Was when you talk about the kids do fundraising, do you have a cohort of kids from past camps, or is it the kids that have signed up for the upcoming camp?
We usually hold camp the weekend before Super Bowl, and so we would have it in the spring after they had gone to camp.
The fundraiser.
Yeah, for the future year.
The kids from the previous year raising funds for the next year.
Correct.
And then kind of like a reunion time for them as well, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And I'm sorry, your camp is usually held what month?
The weekend before Super Bowl. So this year's is the end of January, but usually it's the first weekend of February.
Okay. Great. Anybody else want to add anything from Maui?
Jay Satinstein from Kihei Wailea.
Yeah, Jay.
The problem we have here in South Maui is the only high school we have is the charter school. The state has been trying to build a school here forever, and that's the problem. But we do have a and the charter school does not have an interact club. We've been trying it, and we're treading water. We're not getting anywhere. We do have a very active intermediate school. It's from the student council, but they're a bit young, you know, being an intermediate school. I think that once we finally get the high school here, we will have a very active, you know, school, because they're very, very active in the community. They do their fun things. The Interact Club here, the teacher is someone I know, and she doesn't say, this is what you're gonna do. She asks, what do you wanna do? So the Interact Club does everything a little bit different every year, but the same type of goals. And that's the problem that we have trying to get students from, from South Maui to the camp. We did have, I believe, 3 students from the charter school last year. 1 was a senior and 2 were 10th graders. So we're hoping to get something going, but with this COVID thing, we don't know.
Yeah, and the year before we had, I think, 10 from that Kihei charter school. So they have participated pretty well.
This is Wendy with Upcountry. I'm working with the Pinke Kalike and the other 2 Upcountry high schools as well. Right now, their interacts are pretty good size and they're really excited to do something, but of course they're kind of contained. So I've been trying to keep them in the loop and talking with the interact directors, and every time we do any type of service project or anything going on, I've been inviting them. So to keep them engaged, so when RYLA comes around and stuff, we can continue to recruit. So I'm working on that end.
Excellent. And Wendy and Jay, I'm assuming that you're well connected with Mary.
Yes.
I can't go into detail how well I know her, but yes.
Yep.
Anybody else have something to add from Maui? No? Cheryl, are you on Maui? No.
What, Cheryl?
Yeah, you, Cheryl Parker. You were so engaged and shaking. I thought, oh, she must be on Maui too.
Kaneohe.
Got you. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you for all of those updates from Maui. I'm going to invite Gail to kind of join in here with me a little bit as well, because she has a longer history with Rotary. I can talk a little bit about this past year in regards to some of the efforts and some of the changes that we made. We did have a camp the end of February. We did it over Leap Day, which was sort of fun. And we had 48 youth and a total of 60 people with the Rotarian volunteers. Our leadership is kind of a core team of folks, which Gail headed up for several years and passed the baton on to Stephen Sylvester and I. We rotate the sponsoring or the lead club each year. So last year it was the Rotary Club of Hilo Bay. And each of the Hilo clubs, the 3 Hilo clubs, we kind of take turns, and then the Volcano and Pahoa Club often combine to lead it one year. This upcoming year, we're looking forward to handing it over to the West Hawaii clubs in hopes that they will take the leadership, which is largely meaning the fiscal responsibility, the coordination of the funds. The core team folks are often willing, and certainly we are this year, to help with the programming piece along with some of the logistics. But that host club, you know, is important, and we think it's important to share the fun and joy of that effort of coordinating some of those more gritty details of making the camp happen. Our camp happens, or has been happening, up at KMC, the military camp. It's a great location up top Mount Kilauea. So it's a great kind of outdoor spot for the kids to be. Our recruitment, we've struggled in regards to recruiting. And it seems like, you know, we can structure it and hope that each of the Rotary clubs are connected with the high school, and those clubs will go out and speak to those high school and the Interact clubs and get them connected, and it will all flow perfectly. The idea is ideally the students that club recruits, if it's in their area, that they will then pay for those students to attend the RYLA camp. Our RYLA camp is $175 is what we charge. And again, looking for the clubs to support that. But the recruitment has become more and more of an issue over the last couple of years. Last year, we tried to start really, really early. We tried to get information out through the assistant district governors and to try to get to each of the clubs. We put that out actually as early as September and October, and just began to kind of get it out there and connecting with the schools. And and that wasn't particularly helpful or successful. I think that these kids' lives are moving pretty fast. And I think what we learned this year is in the last month is when the kids are thinking about what's coming up, and the parents, and are they going to attend? And so as a planning committee, we actually tried to adjust to that reality. Like, okay, we're not gonna have the numbers set well in advance. We can all sit back and, you know, just have a glass of wine as we do the final prep. It's gonna be chaotic at the end, and I think it's just the way a lot of the lives are. And so we kind of rolled with that. In the last month, we actually expanded our recruitment to include 9th and 12th graders. Usually we focus on 10th and 11th graders only. But in order to get our numbers up, we actually expanded to include that full spectrum. And that worked out pretty well, I must say. we had a good cross representation. The other thing that we did is we connected with the University of Hawaii in Hilo, and we went and in person spoke to the Upward Bound program. Now, I don't know if your campuses on your various islands have Upward Bound, but that is an outreach effort that the university is doing, trying to reach kids in high school to try to encourage their leadership skills. And really, it's the hope of getting them to look at college as a reality in their life. We went and spoke to Upward Bounds. Those students were very, very enthusiastic, very interested, and that's where we got a lot of our numbers. And the leadership of Upward Bound was so excited. They've already asked us, well, I don't know if it's happening this year, but last year they said, please, we want you to come back. The kids were so excited about this. We want you to come back and recruit, give them that opportunity as well. A couple of other things we did is we realized that the paper process just doesn't work in the lives of many of these kids anymore. So we developed an online application process, and we developed a flyer which went out to everybody, and that directed them to the district website where we had all of the application information so that they could download it right then and there and fill it out and then get it back to us. So we felt like that was a plus in regards to the registration. It was a minus in regards to individual Rotary clubs feeling a sense of ownership over those students. So we kind of missed that part. So suddenly we had students from different parts of the island, but they weren't connected to the Rotary Club. So when we asked those Rotary clubs to pay for them, they were kind of like, really? So we need to tighten that process up, I would say. We also have a video, which Gail did a few years ago. We posted that on the District 5000 RYLA site and directed students to go and look at that, because that is another way that these kids are really absorbing information, is they just want to click on, they want to watch a video. They don't want to read a handout that's 3 pages that gives them a proposed agenda. Yawner to them. They want to just see it, hear it, and then, okay, I'll click and download the application, let's go. So that was, another piece that we kind of did. And then we too do an orientation a couple of weeks before the RYLA camp, and we have youth facilitators, which are selected from the graduates of the previous RYLA camp. And we relied on those students a lot to help us with the recruitment at their schools, to speak to their kids. And also they take a lot of the leadership role in regards to the camp itself. And then the program team, which are all Rotarians, make up the leadership for the camp as we make that happen. So that's kind of a quick overview. I want to, again, just invite Gail to, if she wants to give more of a history or give some other input, that would be great. Gail?
Hi, I can hear that recruitment is always a struggle and a challenge. I think we've made it a little extra difficult. I'm not too sure if you follow the same practice we have, but students come to RYLA only once, and they come a second time only when they get selected as a youth facilitator to return and be in a leadership role. So we try to maximize our touch in the community. I think that where we've been really fortunate is a good example of the Upward Bound program. They have hundreds of students to tap through, and they're anxious to be a part of it. But we've also had really good alliances with Civil Air Patrol, Junior Achievement, STEM programs, and Big Brothers, Big Sister, school type mentors. And we've been really successful in that group, in those groups, because they're natural leaders and they're already engaged with it, and they are very anxious to learn more. And they do learn. It's not like they're so polished that they can't learn anything else. They really do gain a lot. I want to just mention that what came out new last year was Leonard Woods with Upward Bound, which I think should be nurtured further. I know that on Oahu, you had a really good relationship with Kamehameha Schools for a while, and I think they probably would welcome, and they did, I understand, pay for their own students in a year. So What else can I say? Oh, last year I had a couple athletic directors who started to hear that their athletes were starting to come to RYLA and they could sense a difference. And so they said, do you have any more room? And unfortunately, this past year, there was just no room for any more students. And so it's not easy. We go the route of Rotary and it doesn't go very far. You pass it to a president, it doesn't go. You give it to a youth. Rotarians are busy like almost anybody else. You give it to a school administrator, they don't have the time to pass it on, or they don't have enough enthusiasm for it. You know, it really takes someone who loves it to go and voice it. So many years we've gone all around the island visiting our 9 different clubs, encouraging them to promote the program. Luckily, they've all been really sound participants. I know there are a few years when a club cannot, you know, financially or by size, not foot or make the effort, and students from those particular schools really lose out. You know, our interact clubs are not many on the island as it was before, and so it does take an extra effort outside of interact to find our students. But I just want to say that Linda and I, well, we were having the exchange, Maui and I, we've known each other for a long time now, and she retired and I retired, and I can boast that, you know, it went into really good hands, Tim Hansen and Steven Sylvester. And so we're really fortunate that it's almost seamless from 1 year or 1 decade to the next. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I will just add that we actually ended up turning away like 12 to 15 students at the end. And it's just too bad that they hadn't let us know a lot earlier, but Naomi.
We have an opportunity to make this smoother now. And so I'm glad that we have the youth service chairs on this call, because getting the information out to you guys, to get the information out to your road directors and the youth groups that you have early is going to be good. Because, you know, like Gail said, and Tim, the students need to come through you, since you're paying for, your club is paying for those students, right? So it's good to have the dates. So if everybody can give us the dates of RYLA. So do it this way. You should have plan ABC. Plan A is we're going to be able to do face-to-face. Okay, plan B is you're face-to-face, but something happens. It rains or you got a tsunami or whatever. Plan C is you can't meet face-to-face. But let's go with you can meet face-to-face for the first date. So let's put the dates on the website. You'd like, if everybody can give their forms to Tim, sorry, I didn't tell you, but I think we should check to make sure that the verbiage on the liability waivers and everything, we pass it by our insurance people. Everybody should have an emergency plan. So if you don't have one, it's a good time to start working on one for RYLA. Emergency plan is, you know, if these situations happen, what do you do? What does everybody do? And sometimes the venue that you're having it at will have a plan already. So if they do, you should have a plan, a copy of their plan, and update it with all of the information that you need. But you also need a youth protection plan for your RYLA. Okay, so the youth protection guide that y'all got is really long. You need to kind of pick out what is important for your RYLA. So I would suggest that every island, the RYLA people and the youth service people come together and talk about, okay, number one, go over the youth protection plan and what kind of training, because so everybody should have, all of the volunteers need to do background checks and training for youth protection. Okay, so the background checks are different this year, and going further, we're doing it with IntelliCorp. So as soon as you know you need a background check, we'll give you the link. You go into their website, you pay on their website, and then you get your clearance for your background check. Okay, this background check is a little bit more in-depth than the one we had for the district. So it'll cover some of the other things that we should have been covering. And then the youth protection, well, the person who monitors that is Natasha, and she'll get a report afterwards. Okay, so it's, I think it's $15, might be $10, but they pay online on their own. Okay, so everybody needs to work on an emergency plan, on your youth protection plan. If you can get together and come up with the verbiage on your documents, and your document should say at the end, please send this to your club, your sponsoring club, so it doesn't go straight to the RYLA chair. And then that might help with getting those applications to the people who are going to pay for it, because every club needs to approve their application, so that, because you know you got only so much money that you're putting into this, right? Okay, so need to do the training beforehand, need to have the flyers, so the flyers that maybe Big Island have, you can share it with the other islands, because getting the flyers to the students so they can give it to their parents is a good thing, because then they don't have to go word of mouth on what's happening. And if the flyers can be complete with all of the instructions, you know, what's going to happen, what's the schedule, how's the transportation, then the communication is going to be clearer. Okay, so if we can start now with preparing, getting the words out to the clubs, I think you're going to get more participation, because the clubs can reach out to their schools. Okay, so we can do it, right, guys? Yeah. Okay. So get those dates. Get those dates as soon as possible, so we can get up the website, and the clubs all know that this is a heads up. This is the amount that you need to put in. These are the dates, and they can start giving a heads up to the interactors and whoever your contacts are. Sorry, Tim.
No, that's good. And I would say that there might be an alternative, because if the application is online, it might be difficult unless each club says, return this to this club. But I know that we didn't want to have to turn students away because a particular club didn't have the money to fund them. So we actually have a carryover fund, and other clubs will sometimes fund more students so that we don't have to turn kids away. Maybe if there's even a centralized person that the applications go to, and then that person distributes them to the club. Might be another process flow that you might want to consider.
Hey, Tim, can I share something?
Please.
What we do on Kauai, because of Leadership's Kauai involvement, all the applications go to them, because they're leading the clubs, leading the camp. We actually have all the applications turned into them directly. So we can have the council. We don't have applications stuck at certain clubs. The applications go out from clubs and from various different sources. But when they get turned in either a hard copy or online directly to Leadership Kauai. So, and that's how we do it on Kauai.
And then how are clubs billed? How do they know how much they are to pay?
Okay, the lead club, in this case, Rotary Club of West Kauai, we actually, to start things, what we do is that we send out a deposit request for money so we can get started. So like maybe $1,000. And then basically we go out and basically get things started. Then at the end, when all the expenses come in, the cost is divided up according to each club, equally. So it's not like club size or number of students from that club. It's just, it's spread across everyone.
Okay, got you. Naomi, can I just clarify, were we set for an hour? Are we needing to wrap up at this point? I don't know what people's expectations were.
Naomi, can I make an announcement?
Yeah, so you can go longer and talk. And Gwen did have an announcement that she wanted to give. So you can go longer, but I need to jump off.
Okay, and you've given me host? Yeah.
You're the co-host.
Got you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, Gwen.
I have a quick announcement. As we look at our Interact folks and we look at people who could potentially help us, our community in Honolulu is going to be doing a very large Harvest. Aloha Harvest is going to be actually looking at food distribution and harvest this next Monday and needs volunteers. It's paramount. This group is trying to feed the hospitality workers and families, and they're needing volunteers. So I just put Rick Villa's email address in the chat. If anybody has any members or anybody that they think could come and help out, it's from 7 to 12. It's going to be out in West Oahu. We need some people to come out and harvest. I'm not sure what it is, but we're going to be distributing to all of our hospitality members. It's a great project, especially for youth, 7 a.m. to noon. I will say there's a caveat. I'm too old for it. You can't be over 60. So we have to get our younger members to do this. So if anybody's interested, please email rickvilla@aol.com. We need a number of volunteers for this Monday. So thank you for letting me give an advertisement.
Okay, thank you, Gwen. So
You're
I just
welcome.
want to clarify my notes. Ray, you're kind of my main contact for Kauai, correct?
Somehow I surfaced to that.
Yes. Okay, great. And Mary, you are the main contact for Maui.
Yes.
Okay. And the chair and co-chair for this year on Oahu, is that Jeff and Josh?
No, this year it's Josh and Rick.
Josh and Rick, okay.
Okay, Dad, you about ready for dinner?
I'm about ready for
Okay,
dinner.
good.
I don't know
Why
if
don't
your
you come
dad
sit
is,
down
but
and ready in just a minute?
no,
Yes, Gary?
I don't know
Okay.
who that is.
That's still Gwen.
Is it still Gwen?
Yeah, could you mute her?
Sorry.
Let's see. Do I have that power now? Oh, thank you. Okay. So I don't know if we want to try to set up a future conversation, because although I appreciate Naomi's plans A, B, C, and D, and maybe all the way to Z, I know that at this point, even this KMC where we hold the camp, they're not really too excited about even taking reservations because they're closed down. And so I don't know about the camps, that you guys usually work with. I guess we can try to give a date and say, hey, can we maybe try? But at this point, we are very much talking and looking at a virtual sort of RYLA and what that might look like, or thinking about what would a RYLA look like if social distancing is still in place, which means very few, a lot fewer students. At KMC, we have 2 dorms with just bunk beds lined up. Well, that's probably not going to fly if COVID is still going at the rate that it is. So lots of different things to take into consideration. I think Naomi really wants to see us still do a RYLA in some way, shape, or form this year. Yes.
Do you think that we could schedule a meeting after the schools open up, if they open up in August?
I think that's a really good idea.
Because I know that the Department of Education offered a couple different plans on how you can use education or use the schools. Maybe we can look at some of their, see how it's working, and then come back together and decide if it's something that we want to do.
Yeah, Josh, I think that's an excellent idea. There's just so many unknowns at this point. Yes, Gary.
Yeah, I follow Josh's lead in kind of taking that look, but I also think that we should also be looking at maybe having a task force, a task group together to come up with some protocols on what the COVID protocols will be going forward if we do have anything that looks like a RYLA with person to person. That way we're not kind of like inviting kids, inviting people, and then not having a structure to work from as what that's going to look like, what the kids are going to be intended. I mean, even if we have one, but I think it's a lot of discussions before we even start to formalize what the February RYLAs will look like.
Gary, I think that's a great idea. So RYLA and Rotary would get a lot of publicity if we were the front page as a major hotspot.
Yep,
Responsible for a
exactly.
spread, but that's not the publicity we want. So I think that that's really smart to look at that. Is that an area of expertise kind of that you have or of interest that you're bringing in?
It's not, but I do have, you know, I just was on a call with the high school that I coach at, and it was like we went for an hour and a half, and it talked about everything from what coaches can do, what coaches can't, what is it going to look like when you talk to a student, are you going to wear a face mask, are you going to wear a gaiter, what will that look like? So, you know, they've gone extensively into how to interact with the kids and how long can you interact with them. So yeah, it's a whole different world. And I know that what I like, if it becomes a virtual thing, I think it's something, if it becomes virtual, maybe it is virtual all state, maybe it's several of them, I don't know. And inviting kids to listen. It's like they're doing the what is it? Hawaii Business is doing the leadership conference in a couple of days or something, where it's going to be virtual, where it's normally at a convention center where people come to.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. If it does go virtual, could, instead of us doing it per island, can we all just do it together?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's going to work well.
I think that's a really, really interesting idea. And there's a variety of platforms being developed that are very interactive. And
yep.
You know, there's some folks that are really taking this opportunity to be creative and to use technology.
Yep. Yep.
Hey,
We're going to do, if we end up going face to face, we do need to check with the camps that we're at to see what their protocols are.
Exactly.
Got it, Rick.
I was a Navy corpsman and I do in-home care and a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to help out in that arena. Gary wants to bring in his coaching kind of experience too, if we're going to go face to face. But I'm going to think we're going to be virtual, and it'd be great if we did it as a whole state, like Joshua suggested.
Hey, Tim, past experience, we modified RYLA during the year and made it smaller, shorter timelines, and went to one-day youth leadership camps. It allowed more students to participate, and it simplified, so maybe getting out of the box a little bit of the 2-3 day timelines might be considered also.
Yeah.
Thank you, Herbert. And where was that?
I did it in Simi Valley, just north of Los Angeles. It's still going on, by the way. And the RYLA is very popular, but it's still a one-day program, and it gets great reviews. And you get kids who can't stay overnight, or they can't deal with more than one day out of their schedule. And so we got a lot of, we limited it to 48 at a round, and we always filled it up.
Okay. Thank you. That is the creativity and experience that we want to rely on as we move forward, definitely. Okay.
Tim, several years ago, I was a volunteer at Kapolei High School, and we did something like that. We did a one-day, morning to late afternoon, activity-laden day that had to do with RYLA, and I thought it was very successful. And like Huber was saying, you know, a lot of kids are in multiple organizations. They're also, you know, key project leaders. So they're multifaceted leaders, and so they're kept very busy. So I think of one day, you know, they can't, like Hubert said, many kids cannot afford the time to leave on Friday, to be there on Friday and leave on Sunday. So I would go for, you know, we can rethink maybe of having something like that, a one-day thing. And there were many students there. And I think it was Benson, what was it, Dave Benson, that was, he was there that that it was a Saturday,
Okay.
or Saturday morning. Yeah. So sorry, that's my 2 cents.
Oh,
But I
thank you.
thought it was very successful.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely something for us to look at and consider as well. Okay. So, kind of in wrap up, I've kind of got the contacts, I think, for each of the various leadership committees that are working on things. Naomi has challenged us, and somebody did put in the chat, can we share the flyers that that we've done? I've put my email address in the chat. It's tim.hansen, Hansen, at ymail.com. That's the letter Y, mail.com. If someone can send me those flyers, I am happy to send them out to the rest of the islands and just share those. Actually, I would say our flyer and our registration information and our video is all on the District 5000 website under youth and then under the RYLA tab. So there'd be another option. You could go on there and take a look at those.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I mean, we're already thinking about plans A, B, C here, and the idea of it potentially being a statewide effort this year, and maybe not a full weekend, but maybe 1 day or maybe 2 days, or maybe 1 day virtually online with a half a day local, you know, on your islands with the kids in some sort of social distancing service project, or, you know, something in some sort of way might be another possibility. Naomi's also asked us to please look at to be thinking about emergency plans, youth protection plans. And then this was the first I had heard that the background check process is going to be a little bit different. So certainly want to be making sure that we're on top of that. Although if we're virtual, we're not really, you know, in the physical presence of the kids. So many things being different, but I appreciate everybody's time and commitment to RYLA. And I want to honor your time and kind of wrap up for this evening, unless there's any particular closing thoughts that anybody has.
Tim?
Yes, Ray.
The background check system changed last year. Natasha Clarine, she was handling it from the last year or the year before. So it's already had changed.
Okay.
It's already had changed. So if any of you did a background check last year, you probably went into the new system already.
Okay, so it was kind of an invisible thing for the user, it sounds like.
Right.
Okay.
Before you close,
good for
would
2
you like
years.
to hear about the Big Island?
Yes, Chuck.
Okay. Our camp is at KMC, which has already been mentioned. We've got about 40 students up there.
Yes.
Target number. It's a 2-day event. We take them up on Friday and they come home on Sunday. I'm just going to bounce through this real quick because I think everybody's ready to go home. Our retention is very similar to the way we handle retention is very similar to Ray's, not retention, but recruiting, in that Hilo, Big Island, runs all of the applications and stuff through our schools. Our particular area, the Kona area, runs from Hawaiian Ocean View Estates all the way up through to the Kamoa. Kamoa takes it all the way up to Hawaii and Kapaa and Honolulu. We have 2 major schools, Kealakekee and Kealakekua. We have several charter schools for feeders. Let's see, what am I missing here? This is my first year, and I have, And we got a late start, but I've had some very good help from some of our past people that have been involved in this. Among these are Ann Goody, who some of you, if you've been doing this for a while, know of Ann, Dennis, and Karen Wilson. We have excellent instructors in the high school that are really on top of getting these kids out and into the program. And I'm really thankful to all of them, and I always like to give them a good pat on the back. A couple of areas that we've been talking about, and I've heard some of you say it, is starting camp earlier. And I think we're all pretty much in favor of that if we can get that done. Areas that I need to get involved in right now are more recruiting, and that means me touching base pretty much with the principals and more specifically counselors. And other than that, our support from the schools has been very good. And I think that pretty much gives you a quickie idea of where we are.
All right, thank you so much, Chuck. Chuck, are you, which club are you with?
With Kona Sunrise.
With the Sunrise Club, great. And you're the youth chair?
I am.
Okay, great. Thanks, we'll be in touch for sure. Okay, anybody else have any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Tim, did you see the chat that I sent you?
Again?
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, okay. I will take a look at that and see. Yeah, luckily this is recorded, so I'll be able to go back and get everybody's names and other information. I'm sorry, Rick, is it something that I need to address now or just something?
I'll just put it out there. So
Okay.
Rich Proctor is president of our club, and we've talked a bit about insurance coverage for all the kids. So with COVID right now, many places are not covered for liability. So Naomi's been involved in the conversation as well. And so right now, insurances are in a huge scramble with everything going on. And so he says it's too early to really know what the coverage is, but that's a huge piece that we need to make sure is in place before we bring anybody face to face together. So I'll just put that out there, and not to put a whammy on everything. It'll come together, but it's just a lot of our day treatment programs for elders can't open because they don't have the coverage. Their insurance isn't covering it. So a lot of folks are still sheltering in place and very lonely right now. So I know the seniors, you know, in the world and some of this insurance stuff. And so it concerned me about the kids as well. So we just want to be careful, make sure everybody's covered.
Wow, that is a huge thing, Rick.
Save it
But
to the
an
very
important
end.
one for us.
I didn't want to throw it in at the beginning because it would dampen everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I will definitely be talking to Naomi about that because I think, yeah, that is going to be a factor, certainly.
If you know Rich Proctor, he's our president. So that's the actual insurance. He carries the insurance.
Okay.
Naomi and then Rich Proctor. So
Perfect.
Okay, he couldn't make it today. Brian and I are here from our club, but that's the man to go to.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all so much again for your dedication to Rotary and more specifically to RYLA and the development of our youth. And we will be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Aloha.
Tim.
Have a great evening. Yeah.
Aloha.
Thanks,
Aloha,
Tim.
everyone.
Awesome. Aloha.
Appreciate
Aloha.
it. Take care, Ray.
Take care.
See you, Brian.